Last week, I ventured to Denmark's largest book fair, and in this photo/video log, you'll see some of my experiences. In the end, I show a couple of things I bought too, which includes one of the most funny and unusual comics I've ever owned. I biked 10 kilometers to the fair after a very tough yoga class. This was a cruel reminder that I'm not 20 years old anymore. Why did I go to the book fair? I did so because I have begun to reach out more to publishers and potential partners in order to find work as an illustrator, but also to seek inspiration and inputs. I arrived. This photo not nearly captures the scale of the fair. This is maybe 2% of the total of the fair. It was Friday and a lot of school kids were here, running around primarily to find free stuff. As I had never been to the fair before, I strolled a bit first. By accident, I started at the section for micro publishing houses. They had some very beautiful books here. My eyes also caught onto this cover design of Dune by Frank Herbert. Amazing line work, which was very inspiring. I've never read it, but Dune is often seen by fans to be the father or mother of science fiction. Correct me if I'm wrong. At the same stall, there was also some reprints of Ursula Le Guin's books. I've read A Wizard of Earthsea, which I highly recommend if you're into fantasy. The illustrations gave me a feeling of comic books, which seemed refreshing. Speaking of comics, I then came to a stall with a publishing house called Backyard Barons. This is where I had to buy a book, because the guy who illustrated it had so many good stories about the comic, and when I saw the cover, I just immediately fell in love with it. I will flip through this comic book later in this video. Half an hour later, I met with my friend and colleague Signe Gabriel, a talented Danish illustrator who in many ways is in the same boat as me. We could support each other and hand out business cards to potential publishing houses together. You can see her work on Instagram, link in the description below. We strolled. On our way, there was a banner marketing their books as Dan Brown on speed. We couldn't decide if that was really bad or really good marketing. There was a talk about a children's book that we just saw the last 2 minutes of, but the thing that I was most fascinated by was the sound technician who was rocking some really cool braids. I had to draw him. Here's some kids reading. A rare sight in 2022. We then passed a stall where they showcased handmade notebooks. Handmade. For 250 kroner, which is 35 euros. And for an extra 7 euros, you could get your name imprinted in gold. God, I was so close to buying one. We hurried on as we realized that we were semi-poor illustrators with no jobs at hand. We continued handing out business cards, and in between, I tried to distract my mind from this difficult and sometimes awkward networking activity. So here's a cool sword. Here's a beautiful illustration of fish. Signe had to catch a train as she lives in Malmö, Sweden. We agreed to spare more with each other in the future on different projects and read one another's scripts. And we thought of an idea to have her visiting me and make a video together on drawing. Yay! Frankly, I was tired too, but I felt like getting the last inspiration and worth for my ticket, so I bought a Coke and went to a random talk. It happened to be on the comic scene and turned out to be very inspiring. It was a guy who's an expert on comics, popularly referred to as Marvel Morten, because he knows everything about Marvel. That's kind of funny. The talk was called Books That Don't Exist, and was a really interesting showcase of fictive books in fictive universes, so books that have never been written. An example was Bilbo Baggins' There and Back Again, which, as you know, is not a real book. I never gave this a thought, and it was a puzzling thing to listen to. Another example was the Orange Catholic Bible, which features in Dune. An example I could really relate to was Junior Woodchuck's Book of Knowledge, made up by Karl Barks. Funnily, Morton noted that the book is foremost used by Donald's nephews to help Uncle Scrooge get richer, so a matter of capitalism really. In the book you can get all sorts of questions answered, leading Morton to call it the Book of Books. He also underlined that after all books are fictive because the stories take place in our minds. After this talk, my brain was melted after the day's impressions, and I biked home. I'm back from the book fair. It was an overwhelming experience, and I felt that it was quite nice to kind of get started with networking just a bit. And I bought some stuff home with me here. Some of it is free and some of it I bought because I couldn't resist. So let's have a look. So the first thing I'd show you is this Moomin notebook here. I bought it to my wife actually because she's a big Moomin fan and it's Christmas soon. So couldn't resist that design, and look at the colors, how it's metallic thing going on. So that one. Then I got just a free notebook here. Not a large one, but I like it this way, that it has these this dotted pattern here. I can see it. Yeah, so actually 50 pages in here, and I could always use a new sketchbook, so very glad for that. And this was handed out to us, me and Signe, for free, because this was we had a talk with this lady who worked for BOD, which is a self-publishment company. So actually not a bad idea for me, because I do want to publish a book. So this would be an idea for me to use this company. However, they have a limited sort of format in terms of how the book should be. So they have kind of standard formats such as A4 and A5. So there's not really room to experiment with the format, which I think is quite important. But I will remember them, BOD. I got business card for the place where they had these beautiful handmade notebooks. So now I know where to buy one. Could be a Christmas present for myself. They're located in Copenhagen, in the city. 3rd generation making notebooks. So would like to go in there. Some more free stuff. Guess it's some kind of bookmark. I just really like the illustration here. Bird queen here coming over, and the knight is kind of scared with the treasure chest. And then the mermaid, creepy mermaid coming up here. And look at the color. I love how Caroline Stjernfeldt, Danish illustrator, has worked with the colors. It's very limited. Blue, green hues, and a bit of orange and yellow. Red also to make things pop. So this will be a bookmark. And then for the book that I mentioned before, Übermensch. I just fell for the cover. I love the texture here, and the guy who illustrated it said that he's been using a printer where he somehow cheated the printer into seeing pixels or vectors, or not vectors, but little, in Danish it's called raster. So as you can tell, it's kind of gritty. And also he apparently changed some of the colors in the printer. So for instance, he bought a yellow called Danger Yellow, which is only used for building sites, actually, for the signs. That's why it's called Danger Yellow. And he used this to print the book, which I think was quite an extraordinary detail. And then it's a really fun story. I'm looking forward to read it. Let's go to the first page. I can read it aloud to you. He said that this superhero that we followed, called Übermensch, talks like kind of Werner Herzog when he speaks English, but with this German accent. So let's go here. First spread. Does this city need me? I feel like Sisyphus without a stone. It seems like it should be a blessing, but I never get to feel a sense of achievement. There must be a stone somewhere out there. Or is it a struggle to find a stone itself? Amazing. And as you can tell, it has kind of a philosophical undertone. And then combined with this character design and this humor, I'm just, amazed by it. Oh, there's something you used to see. In the middle, there's a kind of fake commercial inspired by 80s computer games. I think this was really funny. We have the floppy disk down here. Easy to install. With only 10 floppy disks, the Übermensch game can be installed in less than 5 hours. Once the game's up and running, you'll be in for an eternity of digital experiences on your home computer. There's some instructions up here. Such a fun detail. Also got a sticker from him. This is their little publishing company. And I got a little booklet about their books that they've published in the Times. Very fun, also paraphrase over Jaws. And the guy who I met there, who's the illustrator, is this guy. And I asked him if this was his Halloween costume, and he says, "No, this is just how I look when I go out and read aloud to events." Yeah, such a fun guy. Also some naughty stuff in here. Whoops. Dr. Murder, this book says. Wow. It's very quirky, and I like things quirky. So, yeah, recommendation. I don't know if you can get them online. You probably can, but go check out Backyard Barons. They're called in English Backyard Barons. You can also see how it's written here, Backyard Barons. If you're with me this long of the video, let me just say thank you for watching. I hope it was interesting. And until next time, have fun drawing.